With the midterm elections now less than a year away, a new PBS News NPR Marist poll has signs of hope for Democrats and a few red flags for Republicans. So what is resonating with voters? NPR senior political editor and correspondent Domenico Montanaro is here to break down the numbers. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Let's jump in. So Democrats came off some big election wins in New Jersey, in New York City, and Virginia a couple of weeks ago. Seems like they have an advantage. Midterms are still a long way off. But what does the poll show?
And in a lot of places across the country, up and down the ballot, really. And I think that what this poll shows is that Democrats have a huge advantage right now. And the real issue is because of affordability. But what the poll shows is by 55 to 41 margin, Democrats, people say that they would pick a Democrat in their district if the midterm elections were held today. Now, why is that important? It's a plus 14 advantage on what's known as the congressional ballot. When you have that large of a lead, it is really indicative of a potential wave. I mean, if you look back to 2022, for example, Democrats had only between an average of 0 to 4 points. They lost 9 seats. In 2018, Democrats had an advantage between 6 and 12 points in our poll, and they obviously won big 40-seat advantage. Now, most people don't expect that we're going to see a wave of that kind next year, but right now starts out with Democrats with a big advantage, and a big piece of that is because of independents and how they've slid away. I mean, a 61 to 28% margin. Wow. Independents say that they would pick a Democrat. These are major red flags and warning signs for the Republican Party right now.
And we know a lot can happen in the next year, but that also includes whatever happens on this redistricting front. We've seen efforts by President Trump and the Republicans, counter efforts by the Democrats in California. This is all tied up in the courts right now, but does any of this make the Democratic polling advantage moot?
You know, it depends on how this winds up shaking out. But frankly, we're seeing some evidence in the past week or so that this could boomerang on Republicans potentially. You know, Trump wanted to get 5 seats out of Texas. A court this week said that Texas's map's got to go back to the drawing board. Now, eventually they might get what they want, but they're also banking a lot on Latinos in South Texas having moved toward Donald Trump. And what we're seeing in our polling, in the elections, is that Latinos have really slid away from Donald Trump and Republicans. They moved over because of affordability. And what we're hearing from a lot of those voters is that they don't feel that Trump has done enough to address lowering costs, and that they are upset with how he's approached deportations in this country, feeling like, you know, they were okay with deporting criminals, but not okay with deporting people in their communities in the same way that they see it being conducted. And like we've talked about, prices are the real issue, right? I mean, when you look at the issues inside our poll, 57% say that lowering prices, it should be the administration's top priority. Nothing else comes close. You can see there, immigration, 16% in second, and even a plurality of Republicans there say that lowering prices should be Trump's top priority.
Meanwhile, if you look at the Republican Party, we have seen some rifts. We've been covering Marjorie Taylor Greene's break with the president, him calling her a traitor. But how are Americans looking at the president's performance right now? Yeah,
I think that this is a huge reason why maybe there's an opening for other Republicans to show some independence. I think they're going to be watching what happens with Marjorie Taylor Greene to see if she suffers any political consequences, as Trump says that she will. If she doesn't, I wonder what that's going to mean as Trump continues to look further and further like a lame duck and is on the wrong side of these issues. In the polling here, only 39% say that they approve of the job that Trump is doing. And when you look inside the numbers, only 24% of independents approve of the job he's doing. Now, the other number, as you see, 9 in 10 Republicans still sticking with the president. So it continues to put Republican candidates in a vice, because we're seeing that when Trump is not on the ballot, Republican MAGA base voters don't necessarily show up. We heard from a lot of Republican voters in this poll who said that they are pro-Trump, but they're not necessarily voting for Republican candidates. That is a real problem for them, because they need to be able to show some independence from Trump to be able to say, to appeal to those crossover voters and to independents, but they can't alienate the base.
Can I ask you quickly about one more thing we saw in here? Some bigger frustrations among American voters with political institutions and beyond. What do you take away from that?
People don't like anything. If you look at what they think about the confidence in institutions, really bad numbers here for almost everybody, including us in the media, by the way. Only 25% approve of what we're doing.
Full results, of course, always available online. Domenico Montanaro, NPR. Always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.